So I'm recording this class today. I'm just going to mute my phone so we don't have any distractions. And let's come into our practice. So this is a combined chair yoga or gentle yoga class. So if you prefer to sit on the floor, you can do that. You can sit on the floor cross-legged if you feel comfortable. Otherwise, you can get on the floor, stand up. You can modify as you wish. But for most people, it's nice to just begin on the chair. So bring your hands to your knees, please. Close your eyes. Lift your heart space up. Soften your shoulders, unclench your jaw. Beginning to tune into the rhythm of your breath, your prana. The breath flows in and out through the nose. Let's just begin now by taking about 10 full rounds of deep inhalations and exhalations. So when you're ready, please open your eyes. If you're on the chair, you can let your arms dangle down. Otherwise, hands can rest on your knees. And you're just beginning to roll the shoulders back. And now beginning to roll back through elbows. And reach back through your long arms. Reaching both arms all the way up now. Let's bring movement to your hands, your fingers. And let's come into a seated twist. Coming over to your right, you're going to bring your hands down to the knee and either the floor or the chair behind you as you turn. You don't have to turn too much, just about, kind of an easy, relaxed turn. And then inhaling back up to center all the way up, and let's come into the other side. Lovely. Let's come all the way back up, please. So unwind, lift all the way up. Now bring your arms out wide, and we're going to come up and over into a side stretch. So again, if you're on the floor, hand could be on the floor. If you're on the chair, just still rooting down evenly through sits bones. And then inhale back up to center, and we're doing the same thing on the other side. Good, and then inhale back up. Bring your hands down. If you're on the chair, please come to the edge of your chair. Bring your feet wide, heels in, toes out. If you're on the floor, you're good where you are. Bring your hands to your knees and bring your shoulder towards opposite knee. And roll up. That's it. And then other side. And lift. Let's do that one more time. Your side shoulder towards knee. And lift for last side. Get that lovely diagonal stretch all the way down through your low lumbar. And lift. Once you come all the way back up, please swing your arms all the way up until palms meet overhead. If you're on the chair, lift your heels. On your exhale, hands come down to heart space, heels come back down. 2 more times like that. Inhale, reach arms widen up. You can even look up here if you like. Exhale, come down. Last one, inhale, lift. And exhale, come all the way back down. Okay, bring your hands down to your knees now, and let's walk our feet back together again if we're on the chair. And from here, we're simply rolling the head. So let your head roll around in one direction, neck roll. And go ahead all the way around in the other direction, please. That's it. And then you can bring your hands to either the knees or dangling once again. And we're just going to roll the shoulders up and back a couple more times. Okay. So if you're at the edge of your chair, please let's now bring your right knee on top of your left. So you're kind of sitting like a cross-legged pose. If you're on the floor, you can bring your right shin in front of your left. And then everybody bring your arms out wide to bring your left arm on top of right. You could hold on to your shoulders here. You could bring the backs of your hands together or even the palms. Lifting your elbows up wherever you are, whether your hands are on your shoulders or the palms are together. This is Garudasana or eagle. So inhale, lift up, and then exhale, maybe come into a forward fold. And unwinding or lifting back up. Use your core strength to lift all the way back up. And then let your eagle arms go wide. Hands come back down to either chair or mat. And you're just going to change the cross of your legs. So now it's the left leg on top of right, or left shin in front of right shin if you're cross-legged. And then right arm on top, please. So right arm either hands to shoulders or backs of hands to meet or palms to meet, you choose. Beginning to lift elbows up and press forearms away. Forward fold. Especially in that forward fold, you'll feel a lovely stretch between the shoulder blades. Breathe into that space, allow that to happen. Good, and then inhale back up, coming back up, using your core strength. Open your arms wide. And then hands to either the chair or the floor behind you. Undo your feet. And if you're on the mat, you can come up into table, lift your hips. If you're on the chair, you can simply lift your heart. You don't even have to lift your hips. This is already an interesting stretch for the front body, the solar plexus, the shoulders, the rotator cuffs. You could try to lift your hips off the chair, but only if your chair is very stable and you feel like this is okay to your wrists. And when you're ready, please come back down and we'll come into one forward fold here. So mat people, feet together, knees open wide, forward fold. Chair people, we'll just come into a traditional forward fold, reaching forward, maybe hands slide down to touch ankles, toes, or floor. And climbing back up, hands to knees, climbing all the way back up, lifting all the way back up. Please come to the edge of your chair if you're doing that, or if you're on the chair, or your feet are out in front of you preparing for boat pose. Everyone reaching the arms out in front. So I'm sorry I'm a little bit foreshortened here. I'm actually going to turn my chair around just for this one pose so it's more obvious what I'm doing. So hands are out in front, feet are on the floor, or you're on the mat with feet on the floor. And then we're going to inhale here, exhale, lean back. So as you lean back, you're just touching, grazing the chair. You're not leaning against it. You're still nice and tall and lift it. That's it. Inhale, lift. We're going to hold on 3. And come back. And lift. Okay, here we go. Holding on 3. Coming back into your boat pose. Lifting up through the solar plexus, lifting all the way up. And maybe you could lift one leg or both. Couple breaths. And then when you're ready to come out, lower your feet, slide all the way up, arms reaching all the way up. Let palms meet overhead. Exhale, bring hands down to heart space, and we'll come into another forward fold. Mat people, feet together, knees open wide for Baddha Konasana. People who are with me on the chair, a forward fold. You can bring your hands down to the mat if you like. Okay, let's climb back up to a tall spine. And I'm just going to turn my chair around again to face you. So before we come up to standing, let's do some seated warriors. So if you're on the chair, you're going to bring your feet out wide and extend your right leg long and open your arms wide. This is seated warrior 2. Okay, if you prefer to be on the mat, you're going to be knee to the floor and leg out wide. Okay, so everyone finding warrior 2, and now reverse warrior, whether you're on the knee or seated on the chair. Couple breaths to enjoy that feeling of opening through ribs. Try not to tuck your chin forward, but let the chin be a little bit lifted. Okay, and then we're coming to forearm to meet the thigh, which I'll do with you in the chair in a moment. If you're on the floor, it's palm to the floor, arm over arm, rib cage over rib cage. Beginning now to explore lightness through your alignment. Maybe you can lift the leg up. So either you're here on the floor, or if you're on the chair, it's this pose, Parsva Konasana. Either way, it's a tremendous stretch. Some of you are going to modify this and not even reach the arm overhead, but you'll have your hand to your hip instead. So make sure you always modify your practice to, pay attention to what might need to be a little baby today. Maybe it's your shoulder, maybe you're not moving your hips quite as much, so you'll have to modify always. So inhale, come all the way back up. And let's bring both feet back in to change sides. So if you're kneeling, you're going to extend through the other leg. And just finding your alignment. Knee is directly over your ankle. Opening, expanding out. Lifting up through heart space. Even expanding out through your fingers. A couple breaths just here. So if your hip is a little bothersome, you're not going to have as wide of a turnout through your legs, so you're going to be a little bit more narrow, okay? That's one way to modify. So find whatever is your personal edge, and then reach back. Don't forget to breathe. And then coming all the way forward to forearm to thigh. You could begin with hand to the hip and roll open. That could be where you're exploring the pose today, or the arm can stretch overhead. Remember, if you're on the floor, you're on the knee here, and you're stacking your arms and your shoulders and collarbones, and maybe lifting the leg. Okay, let's come all the way back up. And then everybody coming back to neutral. So if you're on the mat, please come to kneeling, and then you're going to come into cat-cow. Okay, so you're going to come hands to the floor, so you're on hands and knees, and those of us who are in a chair, we're going to bring hands to knees as well, and then you're going to roll back and lift. So if you're on the mat, it's hands and knees on the mat, and you're arching and rounding your spine, just like we are on the chair. A couple more times. Exhale to roll back. Inhale to lift. Exhale to roll back. Lovely. And last one, inhale to lift. Okay, so please come to your neutral spine. If you're on the chair, you're going to lift your right arm up and your left leg out in front of you. Floor people, right arm out in front and left leg behind you. Change sides. Okay, and then we're all coming to standing, okay? And if you're on the mat, you can come through down dog, slide forward into a plank, move through your vinyasa. Those of us who are in our chair practice, just go ahead and move your chair to the front edge of your mat so that you can hold on to the high back, and then walk back into an L shape, which is pretty much the equivalent of a down dog. From your down dog, please slide forward into a plank. And then reach back into that L shape one more time, leading through tailbone. That's it. And then everybody joining at the front edge of your mat. On your inhale, reach your arms wide up. And on your exhale, bring hands down through the midline to rest at heart space. So let's all bring our hands to the hips and step your feet just a little wider. And let's take some hip circles. Go both ways. And then you can come back to neutral and please step your left foot back. So we all have our right foot in front, the left foot is in back, and then turn your hips and shoulders to face the front edge of your mat. Bring your hands around behind you to find your forearms and or your wrists, and lift your solar plexus upward. Root down into the mound of your right big toe, and let's take a forward fold here, coming towards table. So if you're a little too close to your chair and you're going to hit your head on the chair, just, of course, back up. Okay, and then let's lift everything up. And we'll just change sides. So coming forward, stepping back, shoulders and hips facing forward, lift your heart. And if you can, try to find your other wrists behind you. Inhale here, exhale, take a forward fold towards table. So it's a tremendous hamstring and hip stretch. If you're feeling a little tender in your hip, don't come down so far. Stay at about 45 degrees. Otherwise, see if you can come towards a table spine. And lifting, coming all the way back up. That's great. Let's come back to standing again. And on your inhale, reach your arms wide, out, palms meet overhead. On your exhale, bring hands down to heart space. And I'm just going to turn to face the camera, and you can do the same. And we'll all come into chair pose. Couple breaths in Utkatasana. Feet are hip width apart. Root down through your heels and through the mounds of the big toe and the little toe. Okay, and then lengthen. And let's bring our hands to the hips and step the feet wide. So we always change up, what we do in each class, but today we'll do our open hipped warriors first, and then we'll come to working into warrior one with weights. Okay, so let's do our open hip poses first. So if you've got the chair there, even if you're in a floor practice, it's great to have a chair there for balance. And we'll begin by turning the toes away from your chair. Open your arms out. So we're just repeating the same poses that we just did on the floor. But this time it's standing, so come to warrior two from standing. Checking your alignment, your knees over your ankle. And then reach back, reverse warrior. Just feels a little different standing, a little bit more challenging. So please make sure you know your chair is there if you struggle with balance. And then coming all the way back up, this is where it's a little trickier because you're now moving away from your chair. So it easily does it as you reach into that long shape of Parsvakonasana. Oops. And that is a little slippery today. Okay, and then inhale, back up through warrior two. We're gonna come into triangle now. So lengthening both legs and then finding that long stretch, tip into triangle. So some of you, like before, could just rest your hand on your hip the whole time and don't even bother to bring the arm up. Or some of you like to reach your arm up. Okay, inhale, lift all the way back up. Bring hands to your hips and bring your feet back to parallel. Before we come to the second side, let's come into a forward fold, a table spine. So right at the hip crease, tipping forward and hovering here in table spine. And lift. Excellent. And now you're going to turn your toes towards the chair. Open arms wide once again. Bending your knee. Find warrior two on this side. Try not to over rotate, right? The knee is over the ankle. Hips and shoulders opening out towards that long edge of your mat. Feeling really super stable through low body. Drawing low ribs back. Not having a banana back, but a contained core feeling in this pose. And then reach back for reverse warrior. Keep your low ribs drawing back towards spine. Don't forget to breathe, lots going on. And then coming all the way back up, forearm to the thigh and up and over. Sometimes when I guess I've just been watching so much of the election, but sometimes when I hear myself rattling off all of the alignment points, I feel like I'm John King. Just rattling away. Okay, let's coming all the way back up and lengthen and tipping into triangle. Triangle feels good. It's a tremendous stretch for right in here, right? And inhale, lift all the way back up. Look to your chair, everyone. Bring your hands back to your chair. If you're in a floor practice, you can bring hands down to the mat and step back into down dog. So everybody's stepping back either into L shape or down dog, and then moving through your vinyasa. Our chair vinyasa is this. Slide forward into a plank. And then back through that L shape. Reaching back through your tailbone, long arms, soft hands. And then tiptoeing back to standing. On the inhale, reach your arms wide and up. And on your exhale, bring hands to heart space. Okay, let's all grab weights now. So go ahead and get your weights. I'm working with 5-pound weights, which seems to be, a good number for me. Some people like to start at 2-pound weights and work their way up, so you'll have to decide what works for you. But when you're ready, please step your right foot forward and your left foot back. Shoulders and hips face forward. And then just a little note here to say, please do not be on a tightrope with your feet. We tend to be dainty and step a little narrow, but don't. For balance sake, you have a nice wide stance, space between your inner ankles. Then shoulders and hips are forward facing. Now you can turn your palms to face the front edge of your mat and really grip your weights. Lift your solar plexus up, notice the difference. And then what we're doing is we're coming in and out of warrior one using hand weights, and we count to 10 on each side. So here we go. 1, 2, and even though it's a little bit 3, boring to count to 10, feel this is almost meditative. 4, 5, you're just working with weights in and out through your breath. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Turn the palms outward. There's a major new study about how working with weights relieves stress. Lift up for 1. The low body remains in that warrior one shape. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then the hands come all the way down, palms face inward this time. Please lean forward. Forward like an arrow, anchoring back into that left heel. Reach your hands back for 1, curl in, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Reach back, stabilize. 1 more breath, and lift. Stepping forward in 1 step if you can, and stepping back now with the right foot. Remember to have space between your ankles. You're not too much on a tightrope. Shoulders and hips forward face. Lift your heart. Turn your palms outward and grip your weights. Here we go. 1 and 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Stabilize, turn out, lift up for 1. Feel how strong you are. 2, 3. Good for the lats, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So allowing yourself to have almost a meditative quality as you work through these repetitive lifts. And then you're reaching forward, reaching back, reach back, curling for 1, reach back, 2, 3, 4, 5, well done. Only 5 more here. 6, 7, 8, 9, and last one, 10. And then holding for just a moment or 2, coming up, fantastic. And then stepping forward. And if you'd like, take a couple of shoulder rolls. Okay, we're gonna step forward to face each other. And just check your feet, they're hip width apart. And now we come into a deep squat or a chair pose with arms out in front. And lift for 1, and reach. 2, 3, 4, 5. This is about where I feel like I wish I wore a short sleeve shirt. 6, starting to feel very warm. 7, even on a cooler morning. 8, 9, and last one. 10. Okay, let your arms dangle down once again. Okay, and maybe just step a little bit wider. And we'll just bring the arms out this way and then forward. 2. And you don't have to lift too high, and forward. 3. And 4. And 5. I'm just going to stop at 5. You may have, that may be enough for you now, and you can set your weights to the side and wait for us. Otherwise, feet come back to parallel, and this last one is a little tricky, so please be super careful. You're going to cross the weights and then really grip them and bring them up and over your head. Elbows draw in. I'm going to turn around so you can see my side body. Low ribs draw back. And then here we go. We'll do 10, but you could stop at 5. This is quite challenging for the triceps. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10. And be careful when you bring the weights down over your head. And let's set them to the side. And take a little break. Take a little rest here. If you have a glass of water nearby, maybe have a sip of water, please. Okay. If you want, you can shake your wrists out. Shake your arms out. You could bring your feet a little wider, and then you can let your arms flow side to side. They can even flap around your body. Very loose, very fluid, letting go of all that tension in your hands, your forearms, your elbows, your shoulders, neck, jaw, tongue. Okay. And let's come now back into our L shape. We're going to come back into L shape. If you're doing a down dog, you take your third and last down dog. So from your L shape, please slide your right leg behind you. Hover. And then step it through. Plant your heel behind you. And let's lift your arms all the way up and find warrior one again. This time bring your hands around behind to find interlace, and we're going to draw down through the hands and come into a forward fold. This is peaceful warrior. If you're a little too close to your chair, sorry about that, back up. Okay, and then come all the way back up. And then you can Bring your hands to your hips, straighten your front leg, and then please come into a forward fold over that straight leg. So your hips are forward facing. If you prefer, so you can bring your hands to either somewhere along the leg or the chair. If you have your chair, frankly, it's nicer to have the chair there. And if you prefer, especially if you're on the chair for balance, you don't need as much balance, you can come to the ball of the back foot. We're moving into a variation of revolved triangle. So everyone please bring your right hand to your hip, beginning to open your right shoulder, right ribs. So you can decide where you'd like to be. You can come a little bit further down on your chair if you have a ladder back chair like I do. If you don't have a chair in front of you, it's a lot more challenging. So you'll probably need to have the heel down for balance and maybe bring hand to knee. But try to really stay long through torso, please. Okay, so no matter where you are, you could stay here with your hand, or you could try lifting the arm all the way up. One more breath. And then when you're ready to come out, gently, slowly, stepping back into your L shape. If you're in a floor practice and you're still feeling energetic, you can come through your downward facing dog, or you can just wait for us. Otherwise, you're gonna bring your left leg all the way back, hover. And then when you're ready, stepping your left foot forward. So we're all bringing left foot forward, right foot back. And let's lift arms right overhead. If you're a little bit too close to your chair, back up. Let's bend the knees so you're back in that warrior one shape. And then reaching your hands behind you, either finding hands in an interlace to come into your forward fold. Some people have to bring palms to the hips to come into peaceful warrior, or yielding warrior, or bowing warrior. Beautiful. So that front knee is bent in this pose, right? And then coming all the way back up, and now the leg goes long once again. Hips and shoulders are squaring forward. Bring your hands to your hips and hinge forward to table. We're moving into a revolved triangle now. This pose works really well with a chair, to be honest. So if you've got a chair, bring your hands somewhere to the middle rung, and you might decide to come to the ball of the back foot. What happens there is it just allows your hips to forward face a little more so that the twist is a little easier on your spine, your pelvis. Otherwise, you can't really move out to your left very well. But if that doesn't feel good to your foot, then you're gonna keep your heel on the mat. Left hand to your hip, everyone. Opening left ribs, left shoulder, keeping spine long, looking out to your left. Find your edge. Draw your hips towards one another, and maybe the left arm lifts all the way up. Don't forget to breathe. Stay here for a couple more moments. And then when you're ready to come out, slowly unwinding. That's a challenging pose, a lot going on in that pose. Stepping back through your L shape, stretching it out. And tiptoeing back to standing. Okay, lovely. Let's please face each other now. And we'll explore a balance. We'll come into a simple tree pose. So if you've got your chair there, your hands on your chair, and your standing foot is always closer to your chair or the wall or a bureau or whatever you have nearby. And then beginning to externally rotate the opposite foot to slide the foot somewhere into the inner thigh or calf, but never against your knee. Find a focal point along the floor in front of you that is not the screen or a moving object or anything human or alive for that matter. So Finding a focal point that is steady in front of you. Bring your palms to Namaste. So you may not quite be there yet, and that's fine. It's just an idea of exploring balance. You may come back to, hand back to the chair quite frequently. That's totally fine. If you feel like you've got your balance, you can explore bringing hands overhead. And then please bring hands back down to heart space, stepping down. Bring both feet together. We're coming into easy chair pose, but we're going to take it with a twist. So feet are together, lengthen your tailbone, and then take a twist to your right. And back to center and over to left. And back to center on your inhale, root down to rise. Let the palms meet overhead. And on the exhale, slide hands down to heart space. Wonderful. Turn around, please, and explore your tree pose on the other side. So just make sure you have something solid where you have to begin. And then you can move into your pose. So you're holding on to something or you're near something solid, using a focal point, and exploring whatever is your edge. Coming down gently, slowly, back down to the floor with your foot. Please turn around so we can face each other one last time. And we'll take a very simple chair pose, no drama, just a simple chair pose. But maybe you can let the arms slide up just to let your chest feel open, breathing well. Lovely, and then coming back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Okay, so it's time to come towards the last part of class. So if you are in a floor practice, please come to your belly and come into Cobra. Those of us who are going to not come to the floor at all, we're going to stay in our chair. We're going to bring our hands to the hips, draw elbows together, lift your solar plexus. It's the same thing as a cobra, right? You're making this lovely shape of opening your front body. Just a couple breaths here. Eyes are open or closed, you choose. And try to lengthen your tailbone at the same time. So if you're on the belly, you'll take a couple of cobras, and then finally come over to lie on your back. And those of us who've been in standing cobra, we're finally setting up the chair to come back to the chair. So go ahead and come back to the chair. I'm just going to grab a quick sip of water before this last part of class. If you have something nearby, you can do the same. Okay, wonderful. So let's come to pigeon now. So you're going to be on the back. If you're on the mat, bring your right ankle over your left knee, and on the chair it's the same. Right ankle over left knee. Mat people, draw your left thigh in. Chair people, come into forward fold. So this is the forward fold shape that we're in as a chair pigeon. And I'm just going to show you to remind you that if you're on the floor, It's left ankle over the right knee and you're drawing your thigh in. And it looks like this, if you can't quite see that. It's right ankle over left knee, and a lot of people want to wrap their hands around this thigh. It's the thigh where your ankle is resting that you're drawing in. Okay, and lift. And change sides, please. And coming out of that side as well. And both feet back to the mat. We're going to lift up into bridge pose. So if you are on the back, feet are hip width apart, arms are down by your side body, and please begin to lift your hips up. Float your hips up towards the ceiling. We can do the same from the chair, lifting hips off the chair, or you don't even have to. You could just lift the chest up. It look like this. And then coming back out of that, good. Coming all the way back down, please. Please bring your feet as wide as your mat. And if you're on the chair, scooch forward and let yourself rest against the chair. We're all just letting the knees go side to side. Loose windshield wiper knees. If you're on the mat, allow your arms to go wide. If you're on the chair, dangle them down and let your head roll a little bit opposite way from your knees. Nice. And now you can come back to neutral. And let's just sit in the middle of the chair. Everybody now drawing the right knee in and circling the right ankle. You can hold on behind your right thigh and stretch the right heel out. Up towards the sky if you're on the floor. And then we'll just change sides, easy peasy. Other knee comes in, whether you're lying down or on the chair, circling your left foot in both directions. And then exploring, reaching the heel out, up towards the sky or out in front of you, stretching it out. Reaching out through your heel, drawing the toes back to your face. Lovely. And please soften that foot to the floor, whether you're on the chair or on the mat. Okay, now we're coming towards the very end of class. So here, if you tend to get a little chilly in your Shavasana, here's the time when you can put something warmer back on. And then floor people, please come into happy baby. So that would be drawing your knees in wide, hugging them in towards your elbows. And then if you're on the chair, we're just gonna rock one knee at a time. Whatever movement feels good and easy to you. So floor people, now bring feet to the floor, feet together, knees open wide, arms overhead. Chair people, you're gonna bring the other knee in and rock that side to side. Get some nice fluidity into the hip. Relax your shoulders, your face, your neck. Wonderful. Okay, we're finally now coming everyone into Shavasana, so allow yourself to get comfortable. So even if you've been on the chair the whole time and you'd rather lie down now, in the comfort of your own home, you could even lie on your bed or a sofa. So wherever you want to be, allow yourself to come into a comfortable pose here at the end. And let's all begin by bringing left hand to heart and right hand to belly, just for the first couple of moments. So connecting back to the rhythm of your breath. And if it feels good to you to make the ha sound here, you can gather in a deep breath here. Ha. And when you're ready, you can come into your full Shavasana, getting comfortable, closing your eyes. Allowing yourself to do nothing after all of that following of instruction, moving and twisting and lifting. Allow yourself to be completely without physical intention. You're just letting go. Just giving yourself permission to do nothing in these next moments, nothing at all. So gently, slowly, please begin to bring movement into your fingers and your toes. And if you're on the, or lying down anywhere, you can roll over to the side body first. And then everyone eventually will begin to come up to a more alert seated pose. Bring your hands together into Namaste at the heart space. May all beings live in peace, and may all beings live free. And may my actions and my words in some way contribute to that peace and that freedom for all. Please join me now in making the sound of Om. Take a deep breath in. Namaste.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm just going to close the recording. Hang on.